And the rules of the Virtually Not Alone network are that ship captain is to induct themselves into the network, and that induction to be maintained by shame or adoration from those that the ship captain host channel person has adopted the notion that part of their service they're providing as they're making their content is to make people who are otherwise alone feel a little virtually not alone, as in Valerie's letter in V for Vendetta. This here, it.
So right now I'm listening to Trivium, As I Lay Dying, Killswitch Engage, Pantera, maybe a little Tool here and there. A few things like
Danny
that.
Carey.
Did you like
Danny Carey? Yeah. Say it again.
Did you like Times of Grace? That was Adam Duckowitz and Jesse Leach when Jesse came back out of the alert.
I'm not sure, man.
Oh, dude.
I don't know that I've heard it.
There's a song. It's called "Live in Love." Dude, that song. Oh my god, so good.
But I also kind of like some of the like Americana folk. So like Old Crow Medicine Show, The Devil Makes Three, some of these types of bands too.
Mm-hmm. A couple of movies. Like
I don't know.
Movies.
Oh man, jeez. I'm trying to even think of the last good movie I watched. I really couldn't even tell you. Probably some horrible freaking like horror movie.
Class, and they showed how certain types of people. So right after college, what did you get a degree in? Marketing, you said, or?
It was communications was my first degree, communication sciences, and it was very interesting because it was a very scientific approach to communication. It was all about what they had discovered about the ways that people send and receive messages. So I remember I took a persuasion class and they showed how certain types of people like certain types of images more and use certain colors in certain ways and certain words and fonts, and it made me think about all the little details about what people see and how it influences them in ways that they don't have any idea about. People always think, oh, advertising doesn't work on me, but yeah, it means that means that if you say that, it means it does, because you're not paying attention. So all the people who want to believe, oh yeah, I'm in control of my own mind now, you're in the least control. So I've been thinking about that, for quite some time, and I've been, reading a lot of books and resources on how that works, and books on persuasion. I got into spirituality and the occult too, because there's a lot of overlap between psychology and spirituality. Yep. And there's a lot of sort of muddy, halfway points in between psychology and spirituality, and like you could say that people are doing spell casting using words, like you spell a word, and then people will be under the spell. So words are very controlling to people. Words evoke images, and you use images along with it. And it's again the idea of this one source being a place that has so much power over people. I wanted to always wanted to be the person who had that power, because I didn't like how it was being used. It was just being used to make people fat and dumb and blind them from what was going on in the world, and I find that atrocious.
So what kind of so how did you sort of get in touch with spirituality? Was there a particular book or a particular movie or a friend, or how did that go for you?
Yeah, that's a great question with a really complex answer. I know that early in life, maybe around, after this 12 point where I got really upset at life, I started looking elsewhere for meaning and outside of my culture, and I started watching anime because it was not from America and all that sort of thing, and I kind of got into Buddhism a little bit, or I mean, a very little bit, just in the sense that I heard about meditation and it sounded like something cool, something that cool people do, is like you just sit there and look at your own mind. And somewhere around 12 to 16, I decided, I was going to be a person who was deeper and looked deeper into myself and into life. And it didn't really materialize until after college. I had, I got out of college, I had a really bad job and really had a really bad relationship. And right when that ended, right about 23, 24, I revisited that time. And I said, well, I've always meant to do this. And I have all this time off now, and I've had the unemployment from the 2008 market crash. So I just started meditating all day and reading books about it, and I read The Art of War, and I got into integral theory, and just started observing my mind and my life a lot more, and that was a very big spike, a very big change in who I was. And after that point, once you start reading something like integral theory, they give you so many keywords. Like you read a few books and it's just got this, and you look up all those things, and thanks to the internet, I read all about them and learned all about them, and I eventually ended up in one of these, Aleister Crowley magic groups. And that was fascinating, but also terrifying, because I don't really know what the soul is or what magic is or how it works, but they say things that they really do seem to mean it. They say things that seem silly to rational-minded people, but they do seem to mean it. And so, you're in this group that's all secretive, and they don't tell you what's coming at the next level, and it's like, well, are we really just, is this Satanism, or what are we doing? So I did that for a while, and it didn't quite work for me because of it was really the same thing that happened when I was 12. It was like, are you gonna tell me what's going on? Are you gonna put me in charge of anything? Are you just gonna have me sit here and listen to you and go through the motions, and then nothing happens for me ever? So I didn't last too long there. I was in that for 2 years. Okay. And I've met a lot of interesting people.
Super cheesy horror movie. I don't leave it down.
Let me ask you this, Chris. Since you're the dude who brought the topic of vivisection, what do you think vivisection did to our imagination as it relates to not only our imagination, but like the art that would become created? Since where did vivisection have an influence on the art that was created in, let's say, the last 10 years, and how?
Yeah, of course. Well, the theme that I keep hearing is quality. We're looking for the true, like what makes true music, what makes quality music, what makes quality movies and true movies. And it's, if you look at the vivisection, you take vivisection and the modern automation system, like that's what we've done to art and in general. Look at AI, for crying out loud. It's like it's now a process that is no longer creative anymore. It is just an output. And so whatever makes it true, whatever gives it quality is not there. And it I don't know. I'd argue it's spirit or something like that. But that's kind of what I'm seeing.
I'm so dumb.
They ripped it all away, but the thing that actually it's something I heard from Sherry. It basically is like you dissect something and it's dead, and it's like you think you know what it is, but how could you possibly know what it is? Because it's not alive anymore. You know the bits and pieces of it.
I'm mildly obsessed with this quality topic at the moment. I think McMo and Noah know that, but
I like it.
The reason I'm mildly obsessed with this is because I think it's the key to AI, or it's the key to understanding what separates humans from, let's say, AIs or non-conscious entities. The only reason for quality as a phenomenon to exist is if consciousness is intended. And so what I mean by that is, like, if you're running a simulation of something, anything, so let's say you're running a simulation of weather, you don't care, doesn't matter if the weather is better or worse, or if there's no qualitative
distinctions. And so the AI does not care whether it's more right or more wrong, or whether one piece of art is better or worse. It's just, here's what I produced. This is it. There's no distinction. I'd be curious if for like an AI art generator, you would say like, okay, here are two pieces of art that you just made, that the AI just made, which is better and why? Can the AI do that? And then say, oh, okay, we won't make the one that's worse. And then its own production, right? Like we have the ability to recognize our own production. I mean, obviously other people's production, but it's like, so magically we can recognize, each of us, good music from bad, but we still can't make the good music. So that's magic, in that I can recognize what McMo's saying, like a good song. Like I know a good song instantly. All of us know a good song instantly. Like we're like, wow, that's really good. Now part of it is the comparison between two different things, like a bad song, because we've heard bad and we hear good. But another big mystery is like, okay, we recognize the good instantly, the good song. Then why can't we just summon? If we know it's good, why can't we just do it if we know it? And it's like the reception of quality compared to the output of quality are two radically different things in our psyches. Like we are quality receptors. We're not necessarily quality producers, but anyway, so I'm fascinated by this.
That being said, this idea of that I've thought about meant for a long time is the continual piling up of new material, new songs, new artists, whether they're good or bad, high quality or low quality. There's just a massive pile of them. But like, how is it that if what you're saying is true, which is that we're quality receptors or something like that, or recognizers, or relevance realization as it relates to quality, why is it that we can't extract the greatest quality out of the pile?
There's competing forces.
I think we can, but it takes time. I think that's time.
Or familiarity. But I think some of that stuff, like that art, like you're talking about, Neil, like some of it's familiarity. So sometimes the unfamiliar doesn't feel comfortable, but given enough time, it's great, right? I
think the part of it may be when quality may not be, because that's not one of the transcendentals. Like beauty is part of the transcendental, and I think that
real quick, quality is the scaling of all three of the transcendentals. Some sins are greater sins than others. Some goods are greater goods than others. Some truths are greater truths than others. Same thing with beauty.
Okay, so Michelangelo's sculptures. Part of that is, I mean, we have virtuosos too. Like, not everybody can create quality. Not everybody can really create. Not everybody's tuned. I've worked really hard as a musician for a long time, and no matter what, my wife sings better than me, easier than I ever will. And so that's part of that. And I also think that part of the culture is there. Like I said, there's these forces that want to turn you away from quality because it shames people, and beauty shames people, and it also I don't know, because it creates insecurity. I kind of had that conversation on Twitter the other night with
that's Peterson's ideal as a judge. The ideal as a judge.
Yeah, and so instead, we make excuses that we call theology or doctrine sometimes, like, well, it's about the quality of your heart, not the quality of the music, not the quality of this structure. It's about the quality of the heart. And I just say that's that's not sacramental. that doesn't bind heaven to earth. And so I think that because that separates it, actually. And so that's kind of how I feel about some of that stuff. Neil, I don't know where else to go with it.
Well, I think that's a good look into the individual side of it. But I think there's also a systemic side to the way that we treat art. Right? Like, the way we talk about the entertainment industry. It's not the art industry. It's entertainment. It's reduced down, and you see this in all these kind of sections. You see this in video games. You see this in like digital art or physical art. You see this in books and songs. That there are so many people making things, and the whole system is built around attention. Content is, Chris, you got it. Where you want ad revenue, and so you're just going to get people's attention, and you're going to keep it, and you're never wanting to turn them away or cause them to think about something else because they're not going to spend more time into it. And so quality is hard to achieve, and it's expensive. And the way our system right now is just, we want more content.
And
we want another show to fill in.
It's also not democratic either. Not everyone can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All we really need is the branding every 30 minutes or so, just to break things up. Our brains can reset, and we can get back to mindlessly listening to whatever we're listening to and do our day jobs.
So this brings me to this thing that I was researching yesterday about identity. I was like, where did this word come from? What does it mean? Like, what's the etymology? It comes, I think, from Latin. I can't remember the Latin word for it, but it means sameness. And so, like, that makes me think of when a whole empire would commit to building a church for the next 300 years. We're going to be building this church. That to me is tied to this idea about quality and identity, and democracy. And so somebody had an idea. We're going to build this church. It's going to be like whatever. I don't remember which church. It's taken like 300 years to build. It's still not done being built, right? So there's something to do with identity there. And so at some point, the vivisection of identity, was that something that it's hard. I don't want to do like who started it or whatever, but to me it seems like the vivisection of identity was splitting what Luke would call divided man, the advent of the divided man, which made its way into like the physical realm where people started to recognize them. I don't know. It's hard to.
So Peterson says that.
Sorry, Neil. I just wanted to. Something Chad said made me think of a response to what Christian was saying, which was a little bit bothersome to me, but I couldn't put my finger on it. The idea that it's not everyone can do it. We're not all called to be superstars, but we can all play a role. We've all got a role to play. And the quality question, I think, comes down to part of it. The reason why there's so much content, as we put it, is because there's this need that everyone wants to be the singer, the rapper, the actor, the whatever. There's this, which I think does tie back to your identity top. There's this need that your identity has to be on the top of the food chain, and there's no recognition that there's quality to be in the third best, which was what I was pointing out with the J. Cole thing. No, that's not for me. That's not my role. I'm not. It doesn't sit right with my spirit. And yes, Chad, there are loads of people, loads of commentators saying no, that's not right. But he stood on what? He stood on the quality of his heart rather than the quality of what the culture is demanding of him. And I think that plays a role in it.
So yeah.
Can I respond? No.
All right.
I guess. I mean, back to my even just talking about music in the '90s about Whitney Houston. I don't know how to get around that.
To be fair, I don't think I was. I think I was right to frame it as disagreeing with you, because I don't think I was more so emphasizing the fact that it's not everyone can be. I was agreeing with you. I think not everyone can be Whitney, and not everyone should try to be Whitney.
Yes.
If that's not your calling, sorry Neil, go for it.
Yeah, can I try to thread the needle?
Go
So,
for it.
Christian, what you're worried about is quality in objective physical reality, let's call it. Do you know the story that PBK talks about the woman who's having her face eaten, and they bring her and she can't see anything, and they bring her flowers, and she says, "Oh, you can give them to someone else because Jesus has been so good to me." That's quality, and that's quality with the phenomenological lens coming way before all this. That's what I'm talking about is quality. I'm talking about the mentally handicapped kid, 20-year-old who goes
I'm not disagreeing with that, but
Yep.
I'm just saying that parts of culture, though, at the same time want to, in some ways, or parts of us, sometimes we'll look at something and we're shamed by it, and so we'll want to deny the existence of like objective beauty.
I think the maximum quality is found in the difference between expectation and reality. And this is not something I've thought of until now. But there's the expectation of, so let's take Christ on the cross. All right, he comes into the city. Everybody thinks he's going to be the king. Highest expectations. And then it brings it all the way down to the lowest. He's dead. He's dying. It's fake, fraud, he's dead. All of our hopes were walking away. Throw all of our hopes out the window. One more Messiah. Like, they come up every other week. This one we thought was the real one. We're not getting our hopes up again. Too much content of Messiahs. They come up every week. And then this guy starts walking with them. Oh, tell me about. Oh, another one? Tell me about this one. Why did you believe in this one? And then it's the lowest expectation up to the highest reality.
The reality of the need for the gospel is, I'm not denying that. I just think that
But I'm saying that gap between that gap between where we are and the expectation of where we are and what's possible, we don't realize how big that gap is.
The great irony of feminism is that these women are out there screaming about I care about women, and they're saying don't do things that women do. Don't be what you naturally are. Go work a job that's typically for a man, behave like a man, and swear and spit and drink and just be combative, and then you'll be impressive and amazing. And don't worry about it if no one marries you until you're 42. Because you've done the right thing by giving the finger to the patriarchy or whatever. Those messages must be very confusing. It must be difficult to deal with that because I don't know what I guess what they think they're getting out of it is what they're calling independence, but it's like you just are dependent on your boss instead of your husband. Right? And I don't think that has made them happier. I don't think that's made women much better off.
No. Louise Perry has her blog, podcast, whatever she's got going on with it. She has maiden mother matriarch.
Yeah.
And I've never really distilled the phrase for the men, but it's sort of like suitor, father, patriarch, if you can dare use that word.
Yeah.
Have you done much thinking about, because most of your videos tend to focus on the maidens and the young men finding each other and maybe get to that stage of father and mother.
Yeah. So, I mean, is your question like, have I thought about the later stages of the relationships?
Yeah.
I have less expertise in it. I also have less experience in it. Like, my dating history is a strong enough set of experiences for me to have built a career on. I have seen everything twice. I just get what's going on out there. And I've seen it from every angle. I've had the bad things happen to me. I've been the one who did them. I get down to the facial expressions and the postures that people use when they're feeling certain emotions and certain, exchanges of information. I get what is motivating people. I get what is motivating women to do this and that and what they get out of it and what they believe is going to happen to them in the future. So the being valuable enough to be selected to go on a date, making the date go well, and then what to do immediately afterwards is what I know about. The long-term relationships are like, I don't think that I'm going to spend a whole lot of my time getting into that, at least not until I have some relationship experience, and even then, it's going to require kind of a whole,
We have no idea what God can do.
Like the
in that
true
gap.
forms of Plato?
The God of the gaps.
Can I channel Fred Rogers real fast? I think what he would say is everybody can be the best at something, and you are the best at something. You're the best at being you. No one else can do that. Only you can do that. And it's the sainthood thing too, right? We're like, yeah, we're all gonna
bring it in.
I just been talking about why did we spend 30 minutes talking about who's the best rapper?
Because it matters.
That's a category put on to people, I think.
It does matter, but when you're playing, let's say when you're playing a game, Christian, so let's say you're playing a role-playing game. You never play a role-playing game as the king who's the king over a city. That's never how it goes. You play the role-playing game as like you're in prison. What was that?
Heroes.
Yeah. Like the best role-playing games is like you're about to be executed, you're in prison, and it's like, oh, you're out, and it's like, yeah, and it's. Hey.
All right.
I love classic hip hop, so yeah, we can definitely have a conversation about that.
And I can give a rant about Kanye West or something for a little bit.
Kanye.
And then can we do a whole episode on Kanye, guys?
I think we should, actually.
Around here?
I'm going to probably talk about this with Tayo, but my theory on Kanye is that he basically ended Christian hip hop. Because there hasn't been a single good Christian hip hop album basically since he dropped Jesus is King. But yeah, another time.
The Craze album wasn't.
Hey, this is
last one wasn't.
Yep.
It was okay. It wasn't.
Yeah, I like this one.
Sleep Token.